Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the accounts, debts, or the pressure of making more money? The truth is that in the accelerated world we live in, it is easy to get lost in the midst of financial and emotional concerns. Many of us struggle to balance the budget, while anxiety and stress seem to be constant companions. But what if I tell you that the solution to these problems comes from a philosophy of over 2,000 years? Stoicism, a school of thought founded on ancient Greece, may seem far from our modern reality, but its principles are incredibly relevant to the challenges we face today. This philosophy is not only about accepting what we cannot change, but also about acting wisely and clarity in the face of adversity. Best of all, it can be applied in a practical way to transform your relationship with money and your emotions. In this video, we will explore 6 Stoic principles that will help you achieve financial balance and inner peace. You will find out how. 1. Assume control of their finances in a conscious and sustainable way. 2. Cultivating a mindset that allows you to deal with uncertainties and frustrations. 3. Living with more purpose and less concern, focusing on what really matters. If you are tired of feeling hostage to financial or emotional circumstances, this video is for you. In the end, you will have practical tools to transform your life. So, have you heard of Stoicism? Comment down here what you expect to learn from these principles. Principle 1. Control of what is controllable. One of the most powerful pillars of Stoicism is the idea of focusing only on what is within our reach. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from the attempt to control the uncontrollable. In the context of finance, this means understanding that while we can manage our expenses, economies, and decisions, we have no control over economic crises, inflation, or unexpected market changes. Imagine the following situation. You are planning your finances for the year, but suddenly there is a global crisis that affects your income. What do? The Stoic response is simple. Accept what cannot control and focus on what it can. Instead of despairing with the crisis, you can review your budget, cut unnecessary expenses, and look for new sources of income. The focus is on acting on what depends on you, without losing energy with what is out of reach. A practical example of this is the habit of avoiding impulsive spending. We often buy things on impulse, driven by momentary emotions or social pressure. By applying the principle of control, you might ask yourself, is this expense under my control? It really brings me value, or is it just a passing desire? This simple reflection can help you make more conscious decisions and avoid financial regrets. How about starting today? Take a paper and divide it into 2 columns. In the first, I list everything under your financial control, such as your spending, investments, and consumer habits. In the second, write down what is out of control, such as the global economy or the price of fuels. The goal is to focus your energy in the first column and accept the second as part of life. By applying this principle, you will not only reduce money-related anxiety, but it will also gain clarity to make more assertive decisions. Best of all, you will be building a solid foundation for the next principles we will explore. Principle 2. Acceptance of circumstances. After understanding the importance of focusing on what is under your control, the next step is to learn to accept the circumstances that we cannot change. In Stoicism, acceptance does not mean resignation or passivity, but a way of dealing with reality in a serene and productive way. When it comes to finance, this can mean accepting losses, debts, or crises as part of the journey, without letting them define their emotional state. Imagine that you have lost a significant part of your economies in an investment that went wrong. It is natural to feel frustration, anger, or even despair. However, the Stoics teach us that instead of holding on to these feelings, we can use the situation as an opportunity for learning. The question we should ask is not, why did it happen to me, but what can I learn from it? A practical example of this is the story of Laura, an entrepreneur who saw her business be strongly impacted during the pandemic. Instead of letting herself down, she decided to accept reality and adapt. Laura revised her spending, sought new ways to serve her customers online, and over time, not only recovered some of the losses, but also discovered new growth opportunities. The key was acceptance. She didn't fight against reality, but worked inside her. Think of a difficult financial situation you have faced in the past. How did you react at the time? Now, reflect. How could you have viewed this situation with more acceptance and less resistance? Write down 3 lessons you have learned from this experience. This exercise not only helps to process negative emotions, but also strengthens your resilience to future challenges. Acceptance is not about giving up, but about finding peace, even in the midst of adversity. When you stop fighting what you can't change, it makes room for creative solutions and a more positive mindset. And, as we will see in the next principle, this inner peace is directly linked to the way we deal with our resources and desires. Principle 3. Live with simplicity and gratitude. After learning to accept the circumstances, the next step is to value what we already have. In the modern world, it is easy to fall into the trap of consumerism, always looking for more money, more possessions, more status. However, the Stoics remind us that true wealth is not in accumulation, but in simplicity and gratitude for what we already have. Living simply does not mean giving up everything we like, but prioritizing what really matters. It is about finding essential satisfaction and avoiding the excess that only brings weight and concern. When we apply this to finance, we realize that many of our spending is impulsive or motivated by passing desires, not by real needs. Gratitude, in turn, is a powerful tool to combat dissatisfaction. When we focus on what we already have, instead of what we are lacking, we create a sense of abundance that reduces the need to buy on impulse. For example, instead of feeling dissatisfied because you can't buy a new car, you can feel grateful for the car you already have, and that takes you where you need to go. This change of perspective can transform your relationship with money and bring more inner peace. A practical example is the case of Marcos, who was always pressured to buy brand clothes and new gadgets to feel good. After knowing Stoicism, he began to practice gratitude daily, listing 3 things for which he was grateful. Over time, he realized that many of his purchases were motivated by an empty search for status, not by necessity. By adopting a simpler lifestyle, it not only saved money, but also found more satisfaction in everyday life. How about starting to practice gratitude today? Take a notebook and list 5 things you are financially grateful. It can be something simple, such as having a ceiling on the head, food on the table, or a job that sustains your needs. Repeat this exercise daily and observe how your mindset about money begins to change. By living with simplicity and gratitude, you not only save resources, but also cultivates a sense of contentment that goes beyond the material. And, as we will see in the next principle, this mindset is essential to maintain the focus on what really matters. The present. Principle 4. Focus on the present. After learning to value what we already have, it is time to direct our attention to the here and now. One of the most powerful teachings of Stoicism is the importance of living in the present. While many people spend their lives concerned with the future or brooding over the past, the Stoics remind us that the only moment we really have is the present. In the context of finance, this means planning the future without being paralyzed by anxiety. It is common to worry about catastrophic scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if I can't afford my debts? Although it is important to prepare for unforeseen events, spending too much energy on what can happen only moves us away from the action in the present. A practical example is Anna's, who was always anxious about the possibility of a financial crisis. She spent hours creating plans for scenarios that may never happen, while neglecting her current finances. By adopting the principle of focus on the present, she began to focus on concrete actions she could take today, such as organizing her expenses and investing in her financial education. Over time, he realized that anxiety diminished as it acted in the present. How about practicing the focus on the present today? Reserve 5 minutes for brief meditation or breathing exercise. During this time, focus only on the present time without worrying about the future or the past. Then write down a financial action you can perform today to improve your situation, such as reviewing your budget or researching investments. By focusing on the present, you not only reduce anxiety, but it also gains clarity to make more conscious decisions. And as we will see in the next principle, this mindset is essential for continuous learning and personal growth. Principle 5, daily reflection and continuous learning. After learning to focus on the present, the next step is to reflect on our actions and emotions to grow with them. Stoics believe that daily reflection is a powerful tool for self-knowledge and continuous improvement. When we apply this to finance, we realize that many of our decisions are influenced by habits and emotions that we do not always realize. Daily reflection allows us to identify behavioral patterns such as impulsive spending, procrastination, or fear of investing. By understanding these standards, we can make more conscious and aligned decisions with our goals. For example, if you realize that you spend more when you are stressed, you can look for alternatives to deal with emotions such as meditation or exercise instead of resorting to shopping. A practical example is Pedro, who had a financial diary where he wrote down all his spending and emotions associated with them. Over time, he realized that many of his purchases were motivated by boredom or anxiety. By identifying this pattern, he began to replace unnecessary expenses with activities that really brought satisfaction, such as reading a book or spending time with the family. How about starting daily reflection today? Book 5 minutes at the end of the day to write down: 1. What were your most important financial decisions? 2. What emotions were involved in these decisions? 3. What you learned from it. This exercise not only helps identify patterns, but also strengthens your financial and emotional conscience. And, as we will see in the next principle, this consciousness is essential for the detachment of external results and the search for a more authentic life. Principle 6, detachment of external results. After learning to reflect on our actions and emotions, the last Stoic principle we will explore is the detachment of external results. In a world where success is often measured by material goods, social status, or approval of others, the Stoics remind us that true happiness comes from within. Detachment does not mean abandoning its goals or stopping growth. On the contrary, it is about not depending on external validation to feel fulfilled. In the context of finance, this can mean stopping comparing your life with others, whether on social networks or everyday life. How many times have you been dissatisfied because a colleague bought a new car or why an influencer displays a luxury life? A practical example is that of Carla, who always felt pressured to accompany the lifestyle of friends and colleagues. She spent beyond what she could to maintain an image that didn't reflect her reality. By adopting the principle of detachment, she began to question, do these things really bring me happiness, or I'm just trying to impress others? Over time, Carla realized that true satisfaction came from living according to her own values, not the expectations of others. How about reflecting on what really matters to you? Take a paper and write down: 1. What are your most important values? Family, health, freedom, etc. 2. How your financial decisions may reflect these values. 3. What you can do to let go of the search for external approval. This exercise helps to align your actions with what really matters, bringing more authenticity and inner peace. And, as we will see in the conclusion, these 6 Stoic principles form a powerful path to financial and emotional balance. Throughout this video, we explore 6 Stoic principles that can transform your relationship with money and your emotions. 1. Control of what is controllable. Focus on what is within reach. 2. Acceptance of circumstances. Face challenges as learning opportunities. 3. Living with simplicity and gratitude. Value what you already have. 4. Focus on the present. Act today to build a better tomorrow. 5. Daily reflection and continuous learning. Identify patterns and grow with them. 6. Detachment of external results. Live according to their values, not the expectations of others. These principles are not only philosophical concepts, but practical tools to achieve financial balance and inner peace. By applying them in your daily life, you can take control of your finances, reduce stress, and live with more purpose and satisfaction. If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Share this video with someone who can also benefit from these teachings. Leave in the comments which principle resonated with you most and how you want to apply it in your life. Remember, financial balance and inner peace are within your reach. Just take the first step today.